Unlock the full power of the full moon with these tarot spreads. Welcome to the channel. My name is Antojai. I'm a world-class shaman and I'm here to teach you everything about energy medicine, manifestation, and how to dive into your own spirituality like a boss. In this video, what we're going to be doing is covering over 3 very specific kinds of tarot spreads that everyone should know, no matter whether or not you're a beginner or an expert. This is the kind of tarot spread that you really want to do on the full moon because it's super powerful and it can kind of shape the next 30 days that you're going to be walking into. These are super easy to do and they definitely are kind of my little backhand secret book here when I want to really know what's coming up in the next month or so I can be really focused and really precise with my own energy. So the first one we're going to dive into is tarot spreads for guidance, the self, and for karma. All 3 of these concepts are in the same spread and you can see them very easily. It'll help you really know what you should be doing, what you should be personally focused on, and what is still left in terms of karma that you're not looking at. And that's really important, especially if you want to make money moves, you want to be making massive moves that get you to the next level, because why not, right? You want to be living your life at the most maximum level. The second spread is going to be more so about love and relationships. So a tarot spread for love and relationships is going to help you not only understand what your relationship is, maybe with your significant other, but it's also going to help you really understand your relationship with friends, with coworkers, with reality itself. And I'm going to show you different modes of asking questions for that. Finally, we're really going to dive into tarot spreads for zodiac signs and where you're at in your zodiac compared to the cosmos. So a lot of times people look over this last one because they're like, oh, my zodiac, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Your zodiac is actually constantly shifting in the cosmos, and then the cosmos around that zodiac is shifting as well. So it's really important to kind of like dive into where you're at personally with your karma, where you're at maybe with certain kind of relationships so you can enhance your relationship with money or maybe another person, and then really diving into how your zodiac is contributing to how easy these moves are going to be. Now, if you do this every full moon, you're going to notice that once you get a hang of being able to read the cards very easily, it's going to be like your saving grace. It's the Bible, essentially, because you can pre-plan what's going to be happening in your reality so you can execute it at the highest rate possible. Don't forget to check out the end of the video where I'm going to be throwing out a few new pieces of information that are happening here at the Antojai community that are going to be very exciting for everyone who wants to go ahead and start mastering their reality. Let's get into it. All right, so when we're going to do this first tarot spread, you have to stay completely focused, like keep in the back of your mind the question, which is you want to understand self-guidance and basically your karmic value, okay? So what you're going to be doing is you're going to grab your deck, and as you're shuffling your deck, you want to just be really clear. I want to know more about self-guidance and my karmic value, okay? Like how can I use that in the next, until the next full moon to really activate myself. So the first card is going to always be the self-guidance. You can do another one for general guidance, and then you can do a final one for karma, okay? And then what you would do is you would pull out 3 to 4 cards. Now, some people feel like they want to pull out 3 cards specifically, like for each pile. Some people feel like they want to do 4. So if you wanted to do a 4th one over here, you could do that, or you can stack 3 cards on each one. So I want to use 3, then I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and then sometimes when I feel like this top one is stuck, I flip the whole deck over, 1, 2, 3, okay? And then sometimes if I even feel motivated, I'll just leave this last deck up here, the last card being right side up, and we go from here. Now, remember, self, general guidance, and karma, and you want to read it unbiasedly. The full moon tells you what needs to be completed. The full moon gives you the ability to gather more energy to conquer the things that are actually on the page. So it's really important to try to read these unbiasedly, not because, oh my God, I didn't like the news or whatever, right? You really want to focus on what is being said to you. So here with the Antojai deck, we have the Page of Void, which is Dionysus. Like, there was a time of partying, a time of like advancement and just like self-pleasure, but that right now is becoming some sort of hindrance. I need to find power in my reality so I can overcome ignorance and basically really assume the next reality that I want to be in. Finally, you'll face defeat if you don't pay attention to the vibration that you're attuned to. So this is for me, right? I'm just kind of giving you a generalized idea on how it's coming up. I have an extra suit called the Void. So you're not going to have this in a traditional tarot deck unless you buy the Antojai tarot deck. But the void is basically something that has to go back to source and has to recreate itself. So Dionysus being the god of partying, being on relaxation. Dionysus is also the god of Saturn, which is self-control, being able to like really use your power for something else other than yourself. So here it's saying like the power of Saturn is coming through. I need to balance that out by focusing on my vibration. Now, focusing on your vibration can mean a lot of different things, unique to each person. For me, it can mean, doing more energy work. And if I wanted to know more about it, I could just grab more cards out of my deck and dive into it, right? Or it can mean like going to do more yoga, right? Energy work is different for each person. You just want to pay attention to the generalized message. Now, this is general guidance, okay, in the center. So here we have Oedipus, the god of darkness, the king of void, which is basically saying returning back to a state of nothingness or a state of neutrality. Then immediately comes the energy of ruin, which is another card of harmonizing yourself with Mother Nature and Mother Earth. So here the Ten of Wands is saying don't let fear be something that runs the next movements that you're creating, because that's going to create ruin. Don't be afraid of ruin. Let that ruin go back to its original state. And then here with the energy of Apollo, shine yourself unapologetically as you continue to move forward in the direction that you're going. This being the card of Chariot is basically saying movement, right? You're going fast towards a specific direction. Go towards that direction unapologetically. Now, you'll notice that this is a fire card, the Ace of Wands, and then the Chariot is also kind of like a fire card as well. You can see a trend of fire. You can also see a trend of the void when you're reading it, and you can also even see a trend of soul. So I'm basically vibrating at a void, at a fire, and at a soul level, and I'm redefining who I am as a person. Finally, we come to the karma, and this is like what needs to be dealt with in terms of karma. You go ahead and it has to do with power. There's like some sort of imbalance with the perception of power that needs to be rebalanced in terms of the medicine wheel. So like giving it healing on certain perceptions of power. You need to have a higher perspective. Here is the energy of Makahala, the hangman. You got to change your perspective on something, because the lack of changing your perspective is not allowing you to fully embrace happiness. So we have another fire card, another fire card, another fire card. We have a time card, and we have two void cards. And you can kind of just start seeing like there's this weird theme right here with the same kind of elements, right? And when you're reading yourself, you want to just keep track of like the similarities. Maybe you see a bunch of nines. Maybe you see a bunch of wands. Maybe you see a lot of the cards have the same kind of art or concept behind them. That's all giving you a clue as to what the vibration is. So once you've read each individual one and you get the unique message for the self, the guidance, and the karma, you want to go ahead and almost like keep it like a story. Try to read the whole section here. It was like you read chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. Now what's the whole summary of the book, reading all 3 chapters? And that gives you a fourth perception in which you can look at. So I'll give you a great example. If I'm reading it as a book, and what I like to do when I'm going to read it as a book, I kind of just put them by their number, right? So all the first cards I drew are up top, all the second cards and all the third cards are all here in a specific fashion, right? Just so I can read them more easily. So here, if I'm going to read it like a book, there's been a time for enjoyment and pleasure and escape that needs to come to an end, because you now are coming back into a balance of power. Allow yourself to really stoke the fires of your creativity. Don't be afraid of failure or not being able to do it right. Change your perspective on this particular concept, and you're going to change your perspective on power. By changing your perspective on power, you're going to change your perspective on happiness, and then that's going to really drive the rest of the reading together. Make sure that you pay attention to the vibration that you are focused on, because that's what you're going to be driving yourself towards. And if you're not focused on happiness, then you know exactly what's going to be waiting for you. As you can see, I can read this as a book, like it's saying multiple different messages from 3 different piles that I pulled out. Now, how do you get to read like this so well? You have to practice. You need to get used to your cards, and you need to do the same spread multiple times to really understand how it works. So I highly encourage you to keep doing this spread. If I'm still missing some pieces of information, this top card is the only card that I would really pull out, and it's basically virtue, lack of self-control, the mind, which is really funny because I've actually been working on my solar plexus chakra a lot so I can stay more focused on the things that I want to do. So here you end up seeing kind of like this connection between the cards, and now we're going to go into the second spread, which is love and relationships. But before that, don't forget to smash that like button, share it with whoever it is, and let me know in the comments how your reading turned out. Did you know these tips already? I would love to hear. All right, for the second spread, we're going to dive into love and relationships. Now, you can ask about multiple people or just one person. You don't even have to ask about a person. You can ask about like your relationship with money, your relationship with your dharma, your relationship with your manifestation. You can ask any of those questions that are in relationship with something, right? The only thing you want to pay attention to that is if you're going to do people, you do one specific spread for people, and if you're going to do concepts, you do a separate spread for concepts. So you can ask as many people as you like in one spread of people. You can ask as many concepts as you'd like in one spread of concepts, okay? So these cards are already shuffled. I shuffled them right before we press play. Let's say that I want to know about my significant other. Let's say I want to know about a friend, and let's say that I really want to know about myself, right? Because I'm a person too, so I definitely want to know what's my relationship and my love with myself. Now, the first card that immediately gets pulled out for each person is going to tell you what's the driving force of your relationship with that person, okay? So my significant other, the first card that comes out is the card of love, right? The light of love. So I asked about my significant other, and it was immediately like there's a lot of love there. I asked about a friend, and my friend is going through a shadow moment, which is making them seem idle or stuck in their ways. They're not really moving forward. And then I asked about myself, which is a cosmic relationship with myself, the goddess Neith. This is the 12th chakra, basically saying like I'm changing my definition of who I am with myself. So as you can see, this is the first card is going to tell you immediately what energy is there in terms of relationship with the person, right? The second card, I still haven't shuffled my deck. I just pulled out a card, bam, 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 3, right? The second card is going to basically tell me more about the tension in the relationship or what could be improved on my end or on your end. What can be improved in the relationship. So the first card comes, nameless, hermit. Just relax a little bit more in my actual relationship. With my friend, there is a target that's being missed here. This is the King of Swords, which is basically saying that the person is not ready to assume some level of responsibility or power in their reality. They're trying to escape something that they put into motion. And then finally, myself, this is the energy of success in sciences, the Six of Swords. There's something that I am not fully seeing yet that's allowing me to see clearly towards the future, okay? So this is kind of right here, it'll tell you whether there's a problem in the relationship that needs to be fixed or not. In relationship with myself, I need to be more clear with myself as to what it is that I want to do so I can find more success, right? It's basically saying that. Like I'm very attuned, but I'm not being clear enough. With a friend, they're going through some dark stuff that's not letting them seem like they're moving because they're not ready to assume a responsibility. Maybe I can come to this friend and say, hey, I'm here to help you if you need anything, you know, if you need someone to talk to, etc. In my personal relationship, is saying just relax and enjoy it a little bit more. There's nothing to really worry about. That's a great message as well. So then finally, you can do one of the following 3 things. You can pull off the top card and end it there, or you can pull out the top card and then come back for a 4th, okay? So I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to pull out the top card first. This 3rd card that you end up pulling out is a generalized rule or law in the relationship. So it's what's dominating or guiding you cosmically in this relationship. So with my partner, it's not necessarily the alignment of magic, but it is a karmic alignment that is there between the both of us. We both surf different levels of reality that complement each other. When it comes to the friend needs space to basically work through their particular issues so that they can find the best solution possible for their reality. In terms of myself, there's a level of uncertainty. A Seven of Swords, that is basically saying, you know, like I have a resistance with the quantum entanglement of the field. So I know what this is about. This is basically getting back to the core of, like, sometimes you have imposter syndrome, right? And you just don't want to, you don't find it really easy to work through that, right? So what I like to do right after that is, like, I grab the deck, I flip it over, and this final subconscious card is the energy that you can't immediately see. Like, this is the energy that is in the unconscious itself. So when I pull out one, in my relationship right here, there's some level of disappointment, a shadow that needs to be addressed. So this might be a conversation that I have later with this person and say, hey, you know, is there something that's on your chest that you haven't been able to get off? Like, you know, anything like that, and just see if anything comes up. Maybe this hasn't manifested itself yet, but there is something that is there that I could help shift if I felt like it. When it comes to the friend, we have the energy of Zodiac, the King of Cups upside down. This is basically saying that right now, whatever's going on in my friend's life is not fruitful, right? And you'll notice that here the cups are showing up primarily because we're talking about love, and love is like filling a cup. Finally, we pull out the last card for myself. We got the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune is essentially telling me, all right, well, you're in a lucky place. You're in an abundant place. You're in alignment with your soul. And if you watched the previous reading for self-guidance, there was a lot of energy about soul, right? And then here again is like an echo about soul and my relationship with, you know, my manifestation or myself, right? So a relationship with yourself is different than a relationship with a manifestation. Now, if I wanted to know about a manifestation or several manifestations, I could say, okay, what's my relationship with money? What's my relationship with attracting a partner? What's my relationship with becoming super successful in my career? And it would tell you exactly what it is. I still have one card left over. So this is the card at the base bottom. It says desire, right? Like fulfillment and completion is something that I definitely desire. The only thing that's stopping me personally in balancing all of these different things is just pure power. So a dedicated, unshakable power, right? So these are different things that you can use to read on the full moon, because on the full moon, you're really connected to the concepts of Venus. You're really connected to the unconscious, subconscious mind. And on the full moon, you can really find out how people actually feel about you, what your relationships with those people are going to end up in or lead to, and etc. Now, I'm just asking immediate questions. If I say, hey, you know, what's a generalized energy right now in my relationship versus what's going to happen in 10 years, those are two different questions. I did not ask what's going to happen in 10 years time. I asked immediately right now, what can I do essentially to like really connect with these people and help them on their journey? And I'm looking at the now versus the future. There's nothing wrong if you want to know about the future, but the style of question that I gave you was about the now, and know that if you don't ask about 10 years into the future, you're not getting that answer. You're getting whatever you're asking about immediately within the cards. So let's go ahead and dive into the third spread, where we're going to be really just diving into your zodiac sign and how the zodiacs are playing into the rest of the scope of this design. All right, so the final full moon spread that we're really going to dive into is about your zodiac sign, because your zodiac sign is shifting constantly, and the cosmos is shifting along with it, right? So like it's almost like an ecosystem or like a solar system of some sort, okay? So I already shuffled the deck. Always remember, you got to shuffle your deck between questions. Don't just keep pulling cards unless it's in the same stream. If you want to know more about tarot reading and stuff like that, take my free tarot course. It's in the links in the description below, and check it out. I go into how to program your deck and how to do a bunch of other stuff that's in there, and it's a lot more in depth than what I can actually share right now in this video. So definitely check that out. Now, all right, I shifted it, right? I want to know about my zodiac. I can specifically just ask about Aries once 100% because I'm an Aries, right? So I can just ask about Aries. Or if I know my moon, my rising, and my sun sign, then I can basically use that to help me figure out what I want. So I do know that. I'm an Aries, Cancer, and I'm going to leave the last one blank just in case, just for safety. I don't like sharing my zodiac out loud, excuse me. So as an Aries, the main vibration for Aries right now is to balance polarity, the positive and the negative, by grounding yourself, right? Now, the main concept that all Aries are dealing with is the concept of power. You'll notice that this card came up in the first spread that I just taught you on this video that has to do with like karma, right? It was like the whole Aries zodiac is dealing with this karma right now, the karma of power. So then when you end up seeing that and you see the other spreads are kind of like echoing each other and you want to rewind it, you can definitely check it out. It's really cool to see. Makahala also came out in my very first reading talking about karma as well. So Aries need to ground themselves in terms of polarity because there's a shift in power happening, or a realignment in power that's changing their perception with that power, okay? So this is my sun, my moon, and my rising that I'm basically reading right now. So my sun is always going to be about my spirit, my moon is always going to be about my unconscious, and my rising is going to be about where I'm going with those two primary factors. If I still don't feel like this is good enough, you can take your cards and then reshuffle them if you want. Okay, I usually pull one card each unless I feel more. If I need more information, I'll shuffle my cards again just to make sure that they're in alignment. My sun, my moon, and my rising. So here you end up seeing, okay, well, I need to have more compassion as I ground. I need to let go of what I think is power so I can actually align myself with the true spirit of power. And I need to have a new perception on what chaos actually means in my life. So I still feel like I can pull cards because the top card is light. I'll pull another one. The main thing for me to ground myself as an Aries is not only to have compassion, but to have a love and express that love in everything that I desire and everyone who desires me. When I come to the concept of my moon sign, subconsciously, I'm dealing with some form of rearrangement of power that is going to help me transmute mind over matter, the 11th chakra here. And then finally, I am dealing with changing my perception from some way of looking at chaos so that I can find happiness and fulfillment at the end of this ride, an omega, final point in what I want to do. I feel like this is really stuck, this top card, so I feel compelled to shift it over. The main thing I need to do is have prudence. I should be diligent. I should focus my mind, body, and soul. The Antakarana is in this symbol, which is basically saying the Eight of Pentacles is well at the bottom. Focus on your work. Focus on your craft right now, and you will be able to not only have desire and love, but you will be able to transmute the realms of matter into happiness. Now, this is me working with my Zodiac, and like there were echoes between my Zodiac and my self-guidance karma reading at the beginning, and then there was a little bit of an echo in the love relationships area as well with the first spread of self-guidance. And then if you wanted to take these readings and reread them the same way I showed you in the first spread, where you separate them by category, you could definitely do that. Like that, there's nothing wrong with you pulling out the cards and reading them in multiple ways, as long as you're reading them authentically, as long as you know the vibration that's there. So if this was helpful, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear how the full moon spreads are definitely helping you. Now, if you want to use more than just one deck, you can definitely use more than one deck if you have a second deck readily available. I'll grab this one. But this is for beginners. Basically, if you already have, only one deck, that's okay. That's all you really need. If you have more than one deck, even an oracle deck, you could definitely grab your cards and then just start boop, 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 spreading them out. So, and then just read the combination of cards together, right? So I'm being told to put those two cards there. Spadet is basically the vibration of conquering and winning wars against your spiritual enemies, changing your perception on reality, which is in alignment with power. The Shen-Ur is basically the Dendara calendar, the cosmic vibration. So this is literally the original Zodiac, and I went to Egypt to check this out. The Dendara calendar, which is actually quite amazing when you get to see it in real life. And it's funny that the Zodiac card is coming out when we asked a Zodiac question, and then you start seeing how your cards each have their own intelligence that helps you better have a connection with them because you actually fundamentally understand them. So there you have it. These are my favorite full moon tarot spreads that are gonna get you through the next 30 days. Feel free to come back to these spreads as much as you can. And if you could record them when you do them, that's a little bit more helpful. I like to have rather a notebook where I write down the main key notes of it. And I'll even write down what the card is. So I'll write down like the King of Wands. This is about taking an opportunity and being strategic with this opportunity. That way, if I have to come back to the cards, I can just easily like almost remimic the spread and I can follow it step by step. Sometimes when you record it on video or in audio and you're pretending that you're reading for somebody else, you can read a little bit more unbiasedly so you can absorb all the information that's actually in the reading. Everyone has their own style of reading. There is no necessity to find the right mode of doing things because it's going to be your relationship with your cards. You and I can even have the same deck and the relationship between our decks are going to be different. Just because they're both the same deck doesn't mean that they're going to be reading and interacting with us the same exact way. Check out the links in the description below. Sign up for my free tarot class where I go into channeling and so much more. Thank you so much for supporting us on Patreon, and share this with whoever you think needs to hear it, all right? So I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for being part of this journey, and I love you so much.